There are men who shape history, and then there are men who seem to exist outside of it, as if they were willed into being by forces we don't understand. The man who rules Russia today is a paradox, wrapped in a mystery. We see the headlines, the summits, the cold stare. But the truth of his life is stranger than any fiction. It's a story that begins with a family that survived the absolute center of Soviet power. A mother mistaken for dead, and a secret briefcase that holds the key to his mortality. To truly understand Vladimir Putin, you must forget what you think you know. We begin not with politics, but with ghosts. Chapter 1: The Blood of Survivors. The Siege of Leningrad, 1942. A frozen hell on Earth. In an apartment building, medics clear out bodies for a mass grave. Among them is Maria Putina, who has collapsed from starvation. She is presumed dead. Her husband, a soldier on leave, sees her. He confronts the medics, insists he sees a flicker of life, and carries his wife back to their apartment. Against all odds, he nurses her back to health. This miracle is the only reason Vladimir Putin would eventually be born. But the ghosts of Leningrad were not done with this family. Before Vladimir, Maria had 2 other sons. One died in infancy. The other, Victor, was taken from her during the siege and died of diphtheria in a state-run children's home. Putin grew up as the only surviving child of parents who had already buried 2. He was their miracle, born from unimaginable loss. But the family's proximity to power and death goes back even further. Decades before, in the inner sanctum of the Kremlin, a trusted chef prepared meals for both Vladimir Lenin and later for one of the most paranoid tyrants in history, Joseph Stalin. That chef's name was Spiridon Putin. Vladimir Putin's grandfather, he navigated the deadly politics of Stalin's kitchen and survived. He learned a lesson his grandson would master. In the halls of absolute power, trust no one, see everything, and make yourself indispensable. Chapter 2: The Spy in the Shadows forged by this legacy of survival. The young Putin was not a model student. He was a street fighter. He famously learned his life's philosophy by cornering a rat in a stairwell. When the terrified animal had nowhere to run, it lunged, attacking its hunter. The lesson: never, ever let yourself be cornered. This mindset led him to the KGB, his code name, Platov. He was stationed in Dresden, East Germany, a provincial backwater of the Cold War. But in 1989, his world caught fire. The Berlin Wall fell. An angry mob surrounded his KGB headquarters. Putin and his comrades frantically burned years of intelligence files in the furnace. So fast, he said, that the furnace itself blew out. He called Moscow for orders, for backup. The reply that shaped his entire worldview came back. Moscow is silent. The empire had abandoned him. He returned to a Russia in chaos, his career in ruins. For a time, he worked as a taxi driver to make ends meet. The spy who once served a superpower was now hustling for fares. A ghost in his own collapsed nation. Chapter 3: The Ascent. But from this low point, his rise was meteoric and ruthless. By the late 90s, he was a quiet bureaucrat in Boris Yeltsin's government. Then in 1999, a series of horrific apartment bombings rocked Russia, killing hundreds of civilians in their sleep. The attacks were blamed on Chechen separatists. Putin, then prime minister, gave a chillingly cold-blooded response, vowing to hunt the terrorists down everywhere, even, quote, in the outhouse. This brutal promise of security catapulted his popularity. He went from an unknown official to the nation's savior in a matter of weeks, paving his way to the presidency. The mystery of who was truly behind those bombings has been debated ever since. During this same turbulent period, a fire destroyed his family's dacha. He personally saved his daughters from the flames. He lost everything, except for a briefcase containing his life savings. It was another trial by fire, another moment of loss and survival that seemed to harden his resolve. Chapter 4: The Fortress of the Mind. Once in the Kremlin, the lessons learned by his grandfather, the spy and the street fighter, created a presidency built on absolute control and psychological warfare. He is famously and strategically late for meetings with world leaders. He kept the Queen of England waiting 14 minutes, Pope Francis 50 minutes, Angela Merkel and Donald Trump over an hour. It's a deliberate power play, a psychological tool to unnerve his opponents before a word is spoken. He famously brought his large black Labrador, Connie, into a meeting with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who he knew had a deep fear of dogs. Photos show him smiling as a visibly uncomfortable Merkel looks on. It was a subtle yet powerful act of intimidation, and this control extends to his own biology. When Putin travels abroad, a special federal agent is tasked with collecting his bodily waste in a dedicated briefcase. This is to prevent foreign intelligence from obtaining his DNA, which could reveal his health status, any potential illnesses, or hidden weaknesses. In a world of information warfare, Putin's most guarded secret is himself. This paranoia is everywhere. Food tasters, decoy motorcades, and identical offices in different cities to mask his real location. It is the life of a man who believes he is permanently cornered. Chapter 5: The Tsar's Theater. And finally, there is the image, the carefully crafted persona of the action man Tsar. This is not just vanity, it's a constant message to his people in the world. After the weakness of the 90s, here is strength. After chaos, here is order. It is a spectacle of power, a modern Tsar forging a new Russian empire in his own image. From a boy who was never supposed to be born, whose grandfather cooked for Stalin, whose mother cheated a mass grave, to a spy abandoned by his country, to a ruler who plays the world like a chessboard and guards his own DNA as a state secret. The life of Vladimir Putin is a chain of unbelievable, yet documented events. A story that blurs the line between man, myth, and the terrifying realities of power. So who is the real Vladimir Putin? A product of history or its master? Perhaps the only truth is the one he learned as a boy in that stairwell, that survival by any means necessary is all that matters. These are just some of the incredible stories hidden behind the headlines. Which one shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And to uncover more unreal truths about the world's most powerful figures, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. The deepest secrets are waiting to be told.